The Line 6 Pod Express is not as simple a device as you may think. There's a host of foot switch combinations to master in order to tweak the noise gate and certain amp controls, which can be problematic for people like me who have wrist injuries who need to avoid certain wrist angles and positions.
How do you do that without looking really...
You have to look like a claw. You look like a T-Rex, absolutely.
For this reason, I hope to unlock the full tweaking potential of your Pod Express by showing you how to use the desktop editor. On the editor, every single parameter on the Pod Express is available to tweak, including those which cannot be accessed on the physical pedal, like effect parameters and advanced amp controls. With the editor, you become a Pod Express power user. So let's get started. Number 1. Download software and firmware update. Navigate to the software section of the official Line 6 webpage and search for the Pod Express in the drop-down menu. Select your OS, click search, and make sure to download the latest version of Pod Express Edit. Once installed, open it, connect a USB-C cable to your Pod Express, and the software will automatically prompt you to download and install the latest firmware. You'll be guided step by step all the way, so just read the prompts as they come by and you'll be fine. A big shout out to Yamaha Music for loading me this unit and giving me the time to explore the Pod Express. Without their support, this channel wouldn't have the resources to provide content like this, so do check out their links in the description and pinned comment after this. Now that you're ready on both software and hardware fronts, it's time for number 2, tweak on the editor. Let's see what we have here when we open up Pod Express Edit. What I really love about this is that everything in the Pod Express is laid out for you fully on the screen, so nothing is hidden. When you click on the gear icon for settings, you can see that you can have every other semi-hidden option is there, like setting up your tap tempo per preset or global, whether your expression input is foot switch 3 or 4, and you can even change the assignments of the various buttons. Couple of things to note, on FS3 and FS4 assign, I recommend having bypass FX1, FX2, and to clarify, distortion is FX1, modulation is FX2, delay is FX3, and reverb is FX4. Now, why would you assign the bypass and have a none at the same time? What this is that the bypass is a global bypass. If I reach over and turn off FS3 and 4, both are turned off now, you can see that when I load up something like the crunch, where there's supposed to be a distortion effect on, the effect block is bypassed. It is not turned on because the global bypass of that FS3 input from the external foot switch is off. This is really just a FYI because you never know when you save a preset and you think your overdrive and your modulation is on, but it's off. Double check whether your global is on or off. First up, the gate is very important. Let's turn this to something less aggressive. I'm going to put it to minus 60 dB with a 600 millisecond decay. One thing about the Pod Express editor is that you can't double tap the number and it will bring up something that you can edit. You have to use the knobs and or physically turn it. Next up, let's go to the amp and cap section. We're going to turn this to the chime because I want something a lot more closer to the AC30 kind of sound. Drive at 5.5, that's fine. Bass at 5. Cut at 7.5. The cut control on an AC style kind of amplifier will have the treble frequencies attenuated the further up you go. So you want the bright kind of PNW sound, bring this cut control down. I'm going to have it down to 2. But don't be afraid to go to 0 if you want a more aggressive, brighter sound. Treble, you can bring it up slightly. And presence, I'm also going to bring it up slightly. Let's turn the channel volume to 10. Let's turn the master down slightly from 10 to, let's say, 8.5 or something because you don't want the drive to be overbearing. Side control, I really like this lower, so I'm going to bring it down to 2. The rest you can leave this as it is. I might bring it up by slightly hotter. Let's see how it is right now. Now the bass is still a little bit on the high side, so I'm going to bring up that low cut to 100 and I'm going to bring up the high cut to, let's say, 10K because I do want it slightly brighter. That's the thing about having no compressor. You can turn up the drive slightly more and that is going to be your compressor. Let's dial in the basic wet section. I'm going to load up the plate reverb and its basic settings are as follows. What we can do is I'm going to bring up that decay to 6. I'm going to turn up this pre-delay to in the ballpark of just shy of 100 milliseconds. I'm going to make this a brighter sounding reverb. So I'm going to have the low cut higher up and the high cut, I'm going to bring it up to a lot higher so that its tonality is going to shift from somewhere darker to somewhere brighter in the spectrum. And the mix, let's try this mix to see whether it's too mushy. You can hear that there's a bit more separation between the reverb and the guitar, and that's because we've shifted the EQ up and we've made it brighter. Let's bring in a digital delay because we want the repeats to be, for that quintessential dotted eighth sound. It's currently at quarter notes. I'm going to bring this to dotted eighth. Oops. Let's turn the feedback higher and the mix slightly higher too. Scale. So right now at scale 10, this means that there is no separation of delays between the left and right speaker. If you're playing in mono, having this at 10 and having no separation in speakers is fine because you don't want to mono some and have some mushiness. But if you're able to play your Pod Express into a stereo front of house, bring this scale down to 9.9, and that will have a little bit tiny, a smidge of separation between the two speakers. But what that will do is that will have a much wider stereo sound. Let's hear the delays a bit more distinctly. So I'm going to tap it in a slower tempo. Let's see if there's a difference at 10. I'm hearing this through my monitor speakers, and so I can hear that there is a difference between 9.9 and 10. I recommend having it at 10, and you just bring it down to 9.9 just for fun and see whether that makes a difference to you. If it does, more power to you. If it doesn't, stick at 10. The only numbers that you can key in manually and by double tapping the number is the BPM. So let's go and bring this up to 96 BPM. That's pretty cool. Let's bring in an overdrive, and the way that we're setting this up now is slightly different from if I have a bigger pedal board or bigger pedal board like the HX Stomp, the Helix, or even a Pod Go, because we don't have a compressor in front. And so we want to rely mostly on the amp for compression, for drive, and the way you do that is to kick the front end of the amp very hard. Now you might be tempted to go with a boost, but I want a mid-range hump like with a distortion. So I'm going to choose the distortion, which is a DS1 style. And as it is, this is going to be quite heavy, I think. Actually, that's not bad. That's not bad. What we can do is bring down the drive, turn up the tone, turn up the level. And let's bring us past whatever we get here. So the DS1 style overdrive is now functioning more as a boost that's kicking the front end or the amp a lot harder. Now that's decent for a crunch or even a light lead kind of sound, and you have to understand the limitations of the Pod Express. It's a design limitation. It's not meant to be a Pod Go, HX Stomp, or even a Helix. It is just meant to be a run and gun solution. So you have to make creative choices. If you want a lead sound, you might have to create a patch where the drive is higher and the level is lower. Let's see how far we can get this. now, because I've got my 2-button foot switch, I can control the overdrive bypass using this. So that's pretty cool. So for clean sound. Last but not least, modulation. What do we have? We've got a few things. I'm going to bring in a chorus. I'm interested to hear how it sounds like. Okay, this time I want to unsync it because I want to keep the rate down and the depth even. Let's see what happens with a higher depth. Bring this headroom higher. Yeah, it's decent. I don't need to tweak it that much. Maybe I'll bring down the depth and turn this to the single coil mode. Very nice. And I think I'm done. I'm just going to save this as the AAWG free. Save it. Preset save succeeded. All right, let's see how this sounds like in the full mix context. And that's me. What about you? Did I miss anything operationally critical? Any tips and tricks you'd like to share with the community? Let us know in the comments below. Check out another video in the thumbnail after this, and I'll see you there.